Did you know that Saturn, the sixth planet from the Sun, has one of the most stunning features in the solar system, its iconic rings? These rings make Saturn one of the most recognizable planets, but what exactly are they made of? Today, we're going to dive deep into the mystery of Saturn's rings, exploring their composition and how they were formed. First off, Saturn's rings are not solid structures. They're made up of billions of individual particles. These particles range from tiny grains of dust to massive chunks of ice and rock as large as houses. But the key thing to remember is that about 95% of these particles are made of water ice. That's right, the same kind of ice we find here on Earth. The rest of the material is made up of rocky debris and dust, mixed with some impurities in the ice that give different regions of the rings their slight color variations. Now, you might be wondering, how did these beautiful rings form? Scientists believe that Saturn's rings are the result of moons, comets, or other objects that were torn apart by Saturn's strong gravitational forces. This process, called tidal disruption, occurs when an object gets too close to Saturn, and its gravity rips it apart into smaller pieces. Over time, these fragments spread out and formed the intricate system of rings we see today. Another theory is that the rings are made of leftover material from the early solar system, material that never managed to come together to form a moon. Regardless of how they formed, Saturn's rings have been orbiting the planet for millions of years, constantly shaped and reshaped by Saturn's gravity. Let's take a closer look at the rings themselves. Saturn has 7 main rings, named alphabetically as A, B, C, D, E, F, and G rings. These rings aren't solid sheets but are made of countless smaller ringlets. The rings appear bright because the ice particles reflect sunlight, but in reality, they're incredibly thin. Despite stretching over 282,000 kilometers from Saturn's surface, they're usually less than 1 kilometer thick. That's like spreading a giant flat sheet across the entire width of Saturn and barely raising it off the ground. The most prominent rings are A, B, and C. These are the brightest and easiest to see, while the others, like the F and G rings, are much fainter and more diffuse. These rings are held together and shaped by tiny moons called shepherd moons, which orbit within or near the rings, using their gravitational pull to keep the particles in line. So, what makes Saturn's rings so unique compared to other planets? Well, Saturn isn't the only planet with rings. Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune all have rings too, but they're much fainter and less extensive. Saturn's rings, however, are massive and visible even from Earth with a small telescope. Their brightness and size make them stand out as one of the most spectacular sights in the solar system. To sum it all up, Saturn's rings are made of billions of icy particles, many formed from moons or comets torn apart by Saturn's gravity. These particles orbit the planet in a delicate, beautiful balance, creating the incredible sight we know and love. And while the rings might seem timeless, they're actually changing constantly, slowly evolving over millions of years. So, the next time you look at an image of Saturn, remember that those rings are not just a pretty picture. They are a dynamic system made of icy debris, telling us the story of Saturn's past and the early days of our solar system. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about the mysteries of the cosmos, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more space exploration content.